Hi friends, and welcome back for another virtual visit. I am joining you here with a familiar face, our amazing aquarist, Bill Murphy, who takes care of the animals in our Northern Waters Gallery. And we are in fact joining you from our Northern Waters Gallery this morning in front of our Eastport, Maine, or Eastport Harbor tank. And today Bill is going to help us highlight some of the cool and unusual stuff that you might spot in this exhibit. And no, I'm not talking about the rock gunnels, although they do look cool and unusual. We're talking about the things that people point out in this tank and say, why do you have trash in there? And we say, that's not trash, those are treasures. Right, Bill?
That is true.
Yeah. So I think the first obvious question will be, why do we have things like cups and bottles, and that maybe looks like a pipe there? I don't know. What's all this stuff in the tank for? Why do we have it in this exhibit?
All this stuff is actually collected from Eastport, Maine. We go up there to collect our animals, and we, while diving, find a lot of cool treasures underwater, and it's just amazing because the history of Eastport is it's one of the old fishing towns of the U.S., so you find a lot of cool things, and when we're down there, we're like, this is amazing, this is so cool, and there's a lot of history involved with it. So we collect a few, we bring it back, and we put it on display here because this is from their area, this is natural to the site there, and it's just kind of brings a little piece of
That's awesome.
Eastport back.
So Eastport, as Bill mentioned, is a place where there's been a lot of human and animal interactions over years and years and years. And so it seems like, Bill, you're trying to reflect that a little bit in this gallery and kind of honor that unique heritage that comes along with Eastport, Maine.
Yeah, we try to make everything as natural as possible. We try to mimic the environment as much as possible, and that includes some human treasures or human artifacts that are found in that area. So we have the pilings, we have some bottles. One of my favorites is this little duck-shaped salt shaker.
Oh my
I kind of found that randomly.
I didn't even notice that at first.
But we do actually have some old pipes, and these are old clay pipes that they used to smoke. And what they do is they used to be this long, and they would like break off the tip once they're done, and then it whittles down to this little piece, and then they discard it. But that's actually like some good history right there, and it's just really cool to see out there.
That's awesome. Now, I will clarify and say that everything in here, although man-made, is natural materials, right? Like, we're not seeing any plastic water bottles hanging out in the Eastport Harbor tank, right? These are kind of more historical items or things that are more natural materials. Is that correct?
That is correct. All
Yeah.
these things are historical or natural. Nothing's man-made. We have a piece of rope. That's probably the most recent addition to the tank, and most recently made item.
Amazing. Now, Bill, you kind of hinted at this a little bit, but Eastport is a pretty special place for us at the New England Aquarium, and also kind of just a special place in general for, you know, Massachusetts culture and things like that. Can you tell us a little bit why it's special?
It's a special place because the environment up there is really unique and really special. This diversity of life up there is just incredible. You see so many different species of life, and the nutrient-rich waters we have around New England is very key up there as well. Our right whale team has been going up there for decades, searching for working on the right whales. The amount of invert life we find up there is incredible. So it's an amazing spot to find so much diversity, and we really appreciate that and love going up there.
I've heard diving up there is a little bit of a challenge due to the tides. Could you maybe explain what that's like in Eastport Harbor?
It is. It's very challenging. It's not like around New England where you have the tides kind of come in and out, like at a short distance of like 6 feet or so. Up there, it's about 20 feet tidal change.
Whoa.
So, and where they're located, there's a lot of water rushing by the dive sites. So during the middle of a tide change, you could have a ripping current just pushing you or pulling you in one direction, and you can't fight it. So it takes a lot of timing and skill and safety precautions we put in place to make sure we go up there safely, dive safely, and return home safely.
Perfect. Now, I have actually another question about the animals in our exhibit, because they seem to be really utilizing these man-made artifacts. And I was hoping that you could talk a little bit about the kind of animal interaction with these items, both in our tank and maybe what you see up at Eastport.
Yeah, so they do utilize the environment the way they have up there, so all the human artifacts that go in there, they take advantage of. It's just substrate for the animals to use. They can either bottle, small fish could use it for hiding, for protection. They use it for substrate for anemones to grow on, things like that. So the animals up there use everything their ability to survive and flourish, and so we bring that back, and they do the same thing here in the tank. When we put it in the tank, the animals use it for substrate or habitat, and they move on or off and where they want and use it for whatever they need for their purpose.
I think I even see some whelk eggs being laid on a bottle over there, so that's really cool that the animals are so adaptable and they can find a way to kind of use some of these human-created items to their advantage in their natural environment.
Absolutely.
So I think it's always a balancing act, right? You don't want to add too much that wouldn't naturally be there, but it just goes to show how adaptable animals are and how resilient they are, which I think is also another really cool thing to talk about with our visitors at this exhibit. All right, I think as you mentioned, Eastport is a popular dive site, and I know, Bill, that you've done diving pretty much all over the world, and as somebody with a lot of dive experience, do you have any recommendations for how to safely enjoy kind of places like this, and maybe kind of the best way to navigate visiting a popular dive site?
If you're planning on going to any dive site, whether it be Eastport or anywhere else, talk to the local people. Find a local dive shop, research it online. There are a lot of good dive books out there that have done the work for you and give you some tips. Dive shops should have all the tips you need as well. This site is used by lots of really amazing people for animal identification, to create some guidebooks. So there's a lot of history here and there's a lot of knowledge. And we take advantage of that as well. We like, what's up here? What do you see? How's it changed? Things like that. And the locals know the area better than we do, so we trust them.
That's awesome. That's an excellent tip. All right, I have one last question for you, Bill. What is the coolest thing you've ever experienced diving that you didn't expect, either man-made or natural? Like, can you think of something in your mind that really stands out as being like, whoa, I didn't expect to see that out here?
Oh, that's a tough one. I think, honestly, one of the things that amazed me the most is when we go dive in Eastport, there's this wall that mimics this exactly. And I found a bottle kind of nestled between the blocks. And it was in there. So I don't know how it got there. It was just settled in there so tightly that it can't come out. And so somehow it gets settled, and then the boulder shifted and sealed it in there, but it's still in perfect condition. So it's just so amazing that to see it's settled perfectly, one piece, but sealed. It's awesome. It was so strange, but it was really cool to see.
That's amazing. See, you never know what you're gonna find underneath the surface, human or animal alike. Bill, thank you so much for highlighting this really incredible exhibit, pointing out some things that our visitors might not notice. Next time you come to visit us here at the New England Aquarium up in our Northern Waters Gallery, come check out Bill's amazing handiwork in our Eastport main tank. Look for the animals kind of using those artifacts as habitat or hiding places. Look for whelk eggs in this tank. It's one of my favorite things to do, and just appreciate kind of the uniqueness of this exhibit and kind of the interaction of human and animal. So thank you, friends, for joining us today. Again, thank you, Bill, for joining us, sharing your knowledge, and we hope to see you back here again soon. Bye, friends.